So today's March 20th, and Count Dankula was in court, and he was found guilty of causing gross offense by his infamous video of teaching his pug how to lift its arm up as if saluting the Nazis when he said "gas the Jews." And he made a joke, and it was basically to rile up his girlfriend or whatever, and basically take something so sweet and innocent like a little pug who's adorable and everybody loves, and make him do these oh so terrible Nazi salutes. So this video is funny as shit, but unfortunately the UK internet police, well, they didn't find it as funny. They thought, you know what, that crosses the line. You've offended too many people and you should go to jail for it. I honestly don't know where to begin with all this. On one hand, you've got Jewish groups in Scotland saying you can never make fun of the Holocaust, and it's totally verboten. Shouldn't be made fun of. It's a terrible thing. Well, bullshit. You can make fun of anything, as far as I'm concerned anyways. Because once you tell one group that they're protected under the law, that nobody can offend them, then you're going to have other groups, of course, also wanting protection from being offended. And, well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if you're gonna allow one group to be protected from being offended and penalize those who cause offense, then you're gonna have other groups that want that same form of protection. And before you know it, you're making knock knock jokes or making cat memes on the internet, and that's about it. And even then, that shit's gonna offend somebody. What I really want to see, though, is how consistent the British government's going to be with this kind of thing, right? There's all these Twitter comments out there about, when are they going to arrest the imams that are preaching against the Jews or whatnot? When is the British government going to start arresting people from the protected class, as it were? People who are gay, who are trans, who are Muslim, one of the protected groups. When are they going to start arresting them when they say same sort of hateful shit? And what's out there. It'll be interesting to see whether they stand by their convictions, as it were. No pun intended. But yeah, I would like to see some consistency here. And if they're not consistent, they need to be called out on it. They need to be called out for any double standards that they have. And I'm sure that it will be no time at all, as usually is the case, before such double standards start making their way through social media. Because, it was only a couple years ago when the royal family itself, Prince Harry, when he was walking around with a Nazi uniform. Now, is that going to be illegal? Because if you're going to walk around in a Nazi uniform as a costume, one could imply that you are in some way a proponent of Nazis and therefore gassing the Jews. So are we going to outlaw those now? I mean, in the name of consistency and fairness, I think they probably should, right? We don't want to perpetuate this Nazi sympathizing that apparently is going on because someone made a joke video of a dog sig-heiling to gas the Jews. Of course, there's a lot of people who are more than happy that Dankula got convicted of a criminal offense, who could possibly go to jail, even though unlikely, but still, who could go to jail for something as trivial and silly as his video. Mike Stutchberry, for instance, he seems pretty pleased with himself. He seems pretty pleased that old Dank here might get a conviction, maybe even get some jail time. According to him, reprobates who don't appreciate the rule of law. In one of his tweets, shown here. Well, I guess, Mike, you're one of these guys that maybe you think the rule of law is absolute and that you don't think that the government could possibly get things wrong. I guess all those people in jail in the United States for some weed possession, you're probably like, fuck yeah, man. That's the rule of law, bro. Tough shit. You must be one of those guys. I mean, if you're going to be consistent at all. And then, of course, we've got this lovely individual who calls Dank a Nazi lord and he gets raped in prison. I mean, honestly, it's hard to tell whether some people are trolling or not. I'm going to err on the side that this person probably isn't. But, this is the different types of responses we get to this situation. People are actually happy that Dankula's been convicted of a criminal offense. Not keeping in mind, of course, all the issues that could go along with having a criminal record. Now, Mike seems to forget that the internet doesn't forget. And while he posts a call to genocide is a call to genocide no matter if he's trying to be edgy, i.e. regardless of the context, well, in 2017, Mike put out Kill Whitey. So, if Mike's going to be consistent, if the British government's going to be consistent, perhaps they need to arrest him, regardless of whether he apologized, because of course, that's what Mike is saying. Oh, I apologize for that. I said it out of a moment of anger and whatnot. Well, Dank also apologized and came out and said he had nothing against the Jewish people. It was only a joke and that he didn't mean to hurt anybody. And that didn't work out so well for Dank. So come on, Mike. Turn yourself in. Do the right thing. And turn yourself into the police and ask to be charged. Otherwise, you're just a fucking hypocrite. Anyways, that's enough on Mike. But I just wanted to make a point that, as is usually the case with things like this, there seems to be a lack of consistency. And I think for a couple of years to come, we're going to see that lack of consistency pointed out on social media because people are going to remember this case. And when some imam says Jews are terrible people or gas the Jews or somebody else makes comments about kill Whitey or kill this group or kill that group or whatever it is, people are going to be jumping all over the British government and the authorities to start laying charges. Not because they necessarily want charges to be laid, but people hate double standards and people hate inconsistencies. I wouldn't want to see those charges laid. I mean, let's be real. There's something different than a guy making a video with his dog versus someone on a street corner on his soapbox literally preaching gas the Jews with the full intention of wanting all the Jews gassed. I can understand governments not wanting guys like that on the street corner literally trying to incite people to kill other people. I get that. But Dank's video is nothing but a joke, and like he says himself in an interview, that they have now ruled out context and intention. It doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is how they want to interpret what you've said or what you've done. So if you want to go to a Halloween party like old Prince Harry did and wear a German officer Nazi uniform, well, you roll the dice. Does the government think that you're trying to incite violence towards some people, or do they think you're just being clever and, well, you're rich and you're part of the royal family and it's no big deal? I think sometimes we forget that, some countries don't have it protected within their laws to have the freedom of speech. Certainly in Canada, where I'm from, we don't, and we seem to forget that. I think we should be really envious of the United States for having that enshrined in their law. Now in Canada, it hasn't gotten that bad where people are going to possibly face jail time. However, we have the human rights tribunals here, which, while they might not send you to jail, they will certainly have no problem imposing fines in the tens of thousands of dollars should your joke, air quotes, target one of the discriminated and victim classes. So yeah, I think we often forget that we don't. A lot of countries like Canada and the UK and whatnot, it sounds like, we don't have that enshrined in our law, this freedom of speech. We sort of almost assume that we have that right to freedom of speech, but in reality, we don't. And the governments are doing more and more all the time to curb that, and in effect to save the children, air quotes. That sort of mindset of we have to save somebody from something, and it's getting out of hand. And I'm sure Dank won't be going to jail for any length of time, unless he has a criminal record of some sort, I suppose. But The fact of the matter is, he's going to have a criminal record now, and everything that comes along with it. That might impede his ability to travel, I don't know. Maybe perhaps to get a job, who knows? And if that's the case, if it impacts him negatively in a way of, maybe finding employment or whatnot, you have to ask yourself, was it really worth it to punish this guy and to submit him to all the problems that comes with having a criminal record just because he said gas the Jews to get a reaction from a dog? This shit's out of control. Anyways,